just answering questions with WAPTech to respondents or whatever on the channel. One of which is a near-to-well with lots of claims to make that I didn't directly address in a previous video, but the person came by kind of oversensitive that I even mentioned in my guess, and has decided to correct me on some things. But first we're going to cover our newer commenter, who's got a useful thing to say and is much more important than this other person. Person starts off saying, Anthony Greeno claims he was at the bridge that day. He's friends with a guy named Katt, who, when he wears a hat, looks a lot like the first sketch, or at least has a hat that looks like from the first sketch. Has some weird personality, narcissistic personality disorder, or a psychopath, or psychopath. When people come off that way on the internet, I always give them the benefit of the doubt and assume it's because they're on camera and being recorded. People come off that way when they just barely start getting comfortable with being in the camera's view and or being recorded on audio. Most of you went through the same thing. Public speaking will do that, that sort of thing. So I don't know. But I also have to point out a lot of people who claim to be part of the Delphi sleuthing community, which is what this video is mostly about, in fact, entirely. A lot of people come off that way, again, for that reason, and also because some of them really are genuinely kind of screwed up people, or they're trying to insert themselves. And I come off that way sometimes in my videos. People claim that as well. I'm not trying to, but that should be taken with a grain of salt. But again, some of the people do seem to be predatorily exploiting this. So, and as for Anthony Greeno, the only thing I know about him is I've had to trudge through too many of his videos that are a little bit more difficult to process than I like for being an information source. And again, unless he's firsthand viewed anything and is presenting it, which should be done as independently individual videos on one subject and be done with it and never change his story, unless he's going to do that, the rest of it's no different than you and I commenting on the subject matter. It's the way all of us are. Next, we need the actual authentic copy of the original Bridge Guy video, audio, or the combined video they came from, which is most likely what it is. And if anybody's not aware of it, this video probably was taken at an odd angle, if not upside down, and what we're seeing for the Bridge Guy may have been taking up this much space of the video way up here in the corner for all we know. We're not being given any details about it, and I want to point out that the resolution is really low because of that. It doesn't help that they also tried to image stabilize it or motion stabilize it. And that probably screwed things up because depending on the method, you're going to get cleaner or less clean results. It's very important to clean up the information without trying to re-rotate it first. And that gives you the highest resolution, a single still, which is going to have lots of interpretations. So you have to put up every one of the versions, and then you motion stabilize it and say, this is not going to have quality good enough to identify a face. And it should never be assumed to. This is mostly for the person's motion and walking capabilities, and state that the video tilted this many degrees and had this much movement around, and there's a bunch of frames we dropped because they were smeared. They didn't do any of that. That's basic right there. And again, for fixing the face, you take all the images that line up with the same angle, like let's say it's all this angle, and use them to try to clean up the image. And then you do all of them that are at this angle and try to clean up the image, and then you kind of... That's one of 100 methods for cleaning up a progressive video like this to get a high resolution video. There's enough data here, if I do this, for you to create a 3D model of my face, if you do it right. But you can use an app like that and it'll screw it up hardcore 80% of the time. That's the problem. Next, was the camera adequate or inadequate? Was the settings all jacked up? Was the low res on purpose for some specific reason? What if they didn't record it? What if it was planted by the killer? The killer has possession of the phone that has evidence or not evidence and plants something, versus telling the phone to download an app while you still have control over it. Again, you'd have to have as much control over it for dumping a video on it manually as you would need to do what I'm going to suggest. Load up an app that overwrites every bit of free space after erasing every bit of data and removing every other app. And then fills up the drive, overwrites it with just randomly downloading garbage, just a lot of it, as fast as possible. Or just take the cell phone and destroy it. Just break it up to where it can't communicate anymore, which isn't really that difficult, by the way. And then pocket it. It doesn't wash that this would be done. What if he disguised himself by wearing clothes he wouldn't normally wear and or putting on a face mask or maybe sheer stalking material, flocking, whatever, maybe an insect net? I'm throwing those suggestions out. If a person sees you and your facial features are distorted to where you're not identifiable because it's a mask or stalking pulled over, they're going to respond much more rapidly than an image that would be blurred just enough that you wouldn't be able to see it on a video camera. They would be able to detect that at a distance. This would be an immediately freaky thing and would cause them to immediately run if they were smart. I'm going to give some suggestions for those of you out there who want to make sure that this can't happen again as best you can. No, this isn't victim blaming, but we need to acknowledge what can we learn from this. Please don't get mad at me immediately, but we'll cover that at the end if I got time. Yeah, he could have planted a video, but that's more convoluted than doing the other things. And some of them would be much more effective. The other thing is wearing a disguise. Yes, go to a thrift store in another county, not the same county. I'm not going to go into why. Buy clothing, remove all the tags and all identifying features. Make sure it doesn't have a brand name visible. And nobody would be able to identify it that way by any logos or swooshes or whatever. Wash the clothing thoroughly. You have a clean room suit. Get rid of any patch patterns, like where you remove the tags or stickers for Levi's or whatever. Make sure that you dye the clothing if necessary, or get clothing that doesn't require dyeing. Make sure it matches everybody in a different county nearby. Then you have your prepped up clothing. You put the clothing on after you get out of your vehicle. Very important. Put it on over other clothing if you have to. Make sure that clothing is just as clean. Body stocking would work. That way you get little or no DNA on the clothing, and you almost entirely eliminate your ability to leave anything behind. Wear a set of coveralls over the clothing you do in a clean rooming environment. Then when you get back in the car, put the coveralls on and then leave. Or hike to an area where you can do so. Then when you get to your home, you get rid of the evidence you ever there by destroying the clothing. All of it. Make sure you detail your car first. Make sure the clothing's cleaned. Make sure it's baked at a temperature in a microwave that will kill off the RFID tags. Because a lot of clothing has tracking materials because it's stuck to the clothing while they're processing it, and also for sales purposes and tracking purposes. If it's shoes, make sure there's no steel bar in it. There's 101 ways I can come up with that make you look completely generic to everybody and become impossible to track. Use a loofah sponge, take a shower, and then soak in a tub before doing these things. Shave everything from the neck down. Not kidding. These are the things that people do to get away with being an assassin for a foreign country. And this would all make it nearly impossible for any data to be left behind. Just used clothing that you never wear again, that you've never worn before, that's not associated with you, that you make sure doesn't not only carry bugs, but bugs. And the procedure is you do this before a month before, so everything is in a resting state, and it's a month of video recordings from the thrift shop they have to make. You pay in cash. What's to trace? You can even wear a minor disguise when you go in. Don't cut your hair short. Use your hair as a cover. Always have long hair in front of your face that you can throw back and stuff in a hat. Or just bald. Next. Well, that's it for that one commenter. Now we're at the next point. The other person. That will not be in the title of the video, most likely. What have you done with your life that's so special? Not a goddamn thing that I'm claiming, but on the previous video I did about this person and other commentary, I didn't claim the person was doing anything. I wanted a response to, hey, here's some things I've noticed about your web presence. And the person said, nice try. We'll see whether or not I didn't mention anything, but maybe I should. Let's see what we've got confirmed by this person. Why are you being such a dick about me? It's not about you. That's why. Is it because I'm mysterious? Eat your heart out. You're not my type. Please stop that. Go ahead and trash us all you want. Ah, you represent a group. No, you don't. We are the best Delphi sleuthing site of them all. You're a one-man band. I was questioned as a suspect, one of the many qualifications. We have people in the police who leak to us. Well, okay, can't prove it, so it's a claim. We accuse all sorts of people, all sorts of things in there. That would be what I'm critiquing. That's not a good thing. Tons of personal data. That's, again, not a good thing. I'm slightly famous, believe it or not. I don't. Been blogging 17 years and got a reputation. I've seen your reputation. Hey, give me a link to all the other blogs you had. Let's see if it's confirmed or if you've evolved over the years or the other way around. I founded a new Facebook group, Political Movement. 18,000 members. Delusions of grandeur? The next Trump movement. Or worse, the Hillary clan. So, I'm never going to stop making fun of Hillary. Just saying. So anyway, my old WordPress site got 17 million visitors in 10 years. Your old WordPress page, if you're referring to that old one versus the other ones that I don't get links to, so I'm not evaluating them, too late. 2009 to 2018 is 9 years, not 10. Almost 20 million hits, 19,900,000 hits. That works out to 6,000 a day or 2.2 million a year. When did Delphi happen? Okay, now we're not talking 20 million hits. We're talking about 1 year, we're going to be generous, or 2.2 million hits on the site. The site wasn't all about Delphi. Okay? It's about every contrarian thing you could come up with, trying to get attention as a pseudo-journalist with an interesting history that you have on your LinkedIn page, which claims you have a very popular site called such and such. Your claim as of May 11th on LinkedIn was that you were the owner of Beyond Highbrow website, and that was up since 2018. And it was an extremely popular website for me. It's not extremely popular because Beyond Highbrow's donation blogger page, members only area for Delphi Forum, has 18 posts on 8 topics. It's a WordPress site, and you've had many WordPress sites. It had 282,000 visitors and 400,000 page views, or 1.5 page views for visitors. That's enough for them to figure out what it is and then run away, maybe. And a maximum of 13 simultaneous users ever on the entire website. So, and that's from 2018 till not too long ago. Your extremely popular site was popular not about Delphi, but about completely unrelated subjects. It's sort of a variety show, where you put up shock site stuff like a guy's head being cut off and random provocative statements that seem to swing wildly about 9/11 and Jews and hundreds of other subjects. That's not about Delphi, so it's not the most popular or the bestest site ever about Delphi. The best Delphi sleuthing site of them all, with, again, you've never had more than 13 people on the page at the same time, and you can't claim all 20 million, nearly 20 million hits on your previous page over a 9-year period of time, should be attributed to the 1 year, I'm being generous, timing that could have been about Delphi. Who cares how many visitors? And then you proclaim how many visitors. We're not monetized. Well, you said you demanded $20 for members, the members did, to keep out trolls and pests and enemies like you, because Waptec is now an enemy for critiquing you. We went to $10 and they still came on, so we had to go to $20. When did I say my site was popular? On your own fucking resume. When did I monetize? You just admitted to it. I'm asking for donations. This is how I get paid. You're listing it as your job since 2018 and before then. And you had a 10-year gap you only recently filled in, apparently. So you're not exploiting this for money, and you're not claiming it's extremely popular when you did those things, mostly. Why did you come here to confirm what I didn't even voice before? Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with it.